Hello everyone and welcome to my review of set 75332, the ATST with 87 pieces. This is of course a 4 plus set containing 3 minifigures, Wicket, a Scout Trooper, and an ATST driver, and although the box says that I bought this for $42.99, it retails for $34.99 and I picked it up for $17.50, which is a much better deal than paying the $42.99 or the $34.99 for that fact. Now, I think this set, as a concept, works well. It's good to have 4 plus sets in the market. I feel like having them available fits well with the style of, well, you've got your 4 plus sets, you've got your regular standard sets, which most people can enjoy, and then you've got your 18 plus sets for those collectors, which can also work well as sets for just a younger audience as well. It just depends on which one it is. The problem is you can't force people to pay $35 for a 4 plus set, since I feel like these should be more so the cheaper sets on the spectrum where you can get a few, one of them maybe around the $20 range. One of them I think maybe at the $35 range, which I think would have been a much better set for the Tennu Jedi Temple. Instead of having this out there, this could have been a smaller thing. And well, I think that works well, having these options for younger consumers to kind of just be able to pick out a set that they like, get some figures that they like, and also a play set that they can play without feeling the need to have to repair a bunch of pieces like would be with something bigger that would obviously take a lot more time to build, but also would be more complex, so they'd have to ask for help or whatnot, which does kind of detract from the fact that they get to build it themselves, which is an accomplishment in its own right, to just kind of finish a Lego set and feel that 100% completion, which is now matched with that progress bar, which keeps people going. But I think I've talked enough about the physical box and some concepts. Let's get into it. The set itself isn't that tall, with the ATST being the tallest thing, and although it does look a bit boxy, I don't think it looks necessarily bad. I think it represents itself well as what an ATST should look like. In a 4 plus set, it has these large mechanical legs, which work well with a little bit of minimalistic detailing there, with just some such studs showing, but I think it still works. You've got some footing, which does look neat with these little printed pieces, which I do think are really good, especially since they add a lot of detail, without requiring 3 stickers, which would be a lot more of a hassle for a younger audience to put together. The front canopy is alright. You've got these 2 side blasters on the head, and then also these 2 twin guns at the front, and they don't look horrible. They represent what they need to. The hatch is the only thing that I think could have been a bit better, which is that you physically have to take it off and then put someone in there without any tiling or ease of use. You can put your ATST driver in there, which looks stunning with this light gray outfit. He's got the goggles over his head, and he's got a nice facial print there with a little blaster. The back is nothing too special, but I think they did a good job with this figure. Anyways, you can pop him in there. He fits nicely. You can seal him in there afterwards. It's just you need to have him sitting down, which I think is a bit of a bummer here, considering when he's not sitting down, he can't really look through, so I think that's a bit of an overstatement that could have been resolved. But aside from those few issues, I think for a 4 plus ATST, it fits the part. It looks good enough for a 4 plus ATST, and you can get a lot of value out of this, considering if you toss it about, it falls, it drops, it twists, it turns, it's still fine. And even if a piece, let's say this one, breaks off, it's pretty obvious where it goes, and it can be put back real easily, making it really battle friendly, if that's a thing that exists, because you can kind of put this through a beating and it's still going to be itself after the end, which I think is an important thing to consider, considering this is mostly designed for a younger audience. Now, the tree. I think the tree as a tree is alright. You've got a bit of a hidey hole in the back, so you can have Wicket back there, which I think Wicket does look great. I mean, you can't really go wrong with an Ewok. It's a big, cuddly teddy bear that will probably kill you, but you know what? At least in this case, it's going to be your friend. So I think the facial detailing looks great. The hood is lovely. You've got a little bit of printing at the front and the back, or at least some texture additions, and if my camera would focus, you could get a good look. This entire top piece is a mold like Chewbacca, and I think that lends itself well. The bow and arrow is also a nice touch. So you get a lot of good minifigure value, and Wicket can easily just snugly in there, fit in there, and await patiently or do some target practice at the tree, which is an option. You do have this little flick fire cannon, which I've put the missiles on top of. I don't think that's the greatest play feature in here. If anything, I feel like that feels a bit misplaced because that lends itself to losing pieces quite often. And if anything, it would lend itself well if it was something in the treetop canopy where you kind of just launch it out of the tree and it's like you've got an ambush from the skies. Instead, you've got this land mass here, which lends itself really easily to being squished by an ATST or just being shot at from a distance. So I think that's a bit of a design flaw there, but aside from that, I think as a 4+ tree, this looks very nice. Lastly, we have our Scout Trooper. Love these Scout Troopers. There's so much detailing on them, and realistically, it feels very immersing to see this walking up on the battlefield because there's just so much good detailing, and it's good to see that it was attempted to be put into something that would fit the 4+ audience. The problem is I feel like they butchered the execution on it. Just a smidge. At least for the set pricing and all that. But I do think that the speeder bike lends itself quite nicely. It feels like it hits all the right marks. You've got a little bit of a cushion here at the back for some supplies. You've got a little bit of wing pieces to kind of stabilize the craft. The front blasters look alright, and you've got a little bit of the hooks that they've seemed to be doing for at least the state-of-the-art control system. And I think the kind of foresty color works well here. Obviously, it's movie accurate, but it does do the job. You can fit the minifigure here standing, sitting, which means that you can also put Wicket in there, which I think is a nice design idea. I haven't physically... Where'd Wicket go? I have officially lost... Oh, what am I doing? I'm incapable of seeing Wicket. But anyways, you can put Wicket in there. You see, it blends into the forest terrain. Even though everything around here is white, it just blends into the forest terrain. You see, that's the kind of movie accuracy that I want to see in my LEGO sets, even though I'm incapable of seeing, apparently. So, I think that covers most of it, because I think the set as a concept works really well. I feel like LEGO just butchered it in a few ways and made it way too overpriced, if that makes any sense. So I think this could have been a really beautiful set that could have been really appealing to a bunch of the younger audience for LEGO, but instead we have this thing where parents don't really want to spend the money if they know about LEGO enough to kind of justify the price, or if they buy it, it's just a bit of a sting to their wallets, considering, you know, it's a decent money investment for something that feels a little bit small for what you're getting here. Now, granted, you do get a lot of large pieces, which is the main bulk of the price point, but I feel like potentially you could have just saved a lot of money if you ordered some of these pieces yourself and just created the set from scratch. Granted, you wouldn't have the minifigures, but with this amount you're saving, you could have probably just bought some minifigures from somewhere and you could have had another day. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.